It's time for our next interview. My guest is Alva Wilson, a millionaire. Good afternoon, Alva.
Hello, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. And you?
I'm great, really good.
Alva, how does it go so far? How does it work? I think that there are very interesting people here.
Well, I've just met someone whose father used to make the hats for Queen Victoria. So I'm really glad to be here just to, meet somebody who sort of told me all about what he did. Unfortunately, he went mad because in those days they used to use mercury to stiffen the hat. In fact, that's where the phrase "Mad Hatter" come from, because they used to stiffen all those top hats with with the mercury. So she said that her father went mad, but he was really rich, and when he died, he left all his money to Queen Victoria. Would you believe that? So that was the story. So I can't wait to tell all my students. Where's your cameraman gone?
I have no idea, but we can carry out actually. That will be fine. Alva, can you tell us something about your store, because people seems to be really interesting in what you've been doing here today. There are plenty of customers today at your store.
There is. Well, as you can see, what I'm doing here, this is a display of all the hats that I make. This collection is sort of a recycled collection, so it kind of fits in well with all the other crafts that's going along here. So a lot of these hats, although they look kind of really sort of well put together, they're made up of lots of bits and pieces. Like for instance, this one's made out of kind of an old piece of jewellery that I found. And these are just bits and pieces of straw hats that I've cut off from other hats that I've actually made up this one. And from here, I've sort of kind of extended the collection into doing all these different shapes. This one's based on a sculptor called Barbara Hepworth, a British sculptor, and she uses a lot of wood with a lot of strings going through, and I really love her work, so that's inspired from her work. And then you've got over here some 1940s, 1950s type hats. These are like sort of that's when hats were really quite sculptural, that period between the 1930s to the 50s. That was the time to wear a hat. Everybody wore a hat then. So these are kind of celebrating that era. So they come in like lots of different shapes. This is based on a 1930s design. There's a period where a lot of fashion designers and artists were doing things that were really surreal. So this is like an upside down shoe, and it's sort of like homage to a designer called Schiaparelli. So that's basically what the collection's about here at the moment. And in the corner, I'm doing like a workshop. As you can see, this is all nice and tidy, and then over there, that's where all the mess is. So that's where I'm sort of making hats and showing people.
And can I ask you, which hat is the most popular hat today? Because I know that people are trying.
This one is the most popular one, and the Schiaparelli one. The men are going for these, and your one, the one that you're wearing, is quite popular.
Oh, I'm really glad about it.
Yeah, so yeah, it's going really well.
But I would love to ask you also about whether people understand the real value of craft, of well, sometimes we can buy t-shirts or bags or hats for at least like £2 or £3. So I'm just wondering whether people really value the amount of work we need to create such a nice hat.
Unfortunately, no. I mean, the whole thing, the kind of society that we're living in at the moment, it's become very disposable, and it's become very sort of ready to make, if that makes sense. In the sense that, like, people, they no longer have to make things. It's on the shelf for them. So the whole idea of craft, this is what's so good about this event, because a lot of people are coming up to me today and saying, oh, I never knew a hat was made like that. I never knew that they blocked a hat. I never knew that you had to hand sew a hat, and so on and so forth. So yeah, the whole thing about craft is slowly kind of dying. A lot of people don't think about craft in the way how craft was in the past.
But do you believe that we need craft in everyday life?
I think craft is coming back. I think as life goes on, You're going to find more people. They're going to be more tactile. They're going to need to use their hands more. And I think craft is going to be something that's going to uplift your soul. You know, it's going to be really, really therapeutic for you to do. So yeah, I think eventually people are going to be looking at all these crafts that have died out, and they're going to come back, and they're going to, you know, it's going to be very, very good for their creative spirit.
Yeah, and the last question will be, what, in your opinion, can be an example of popular modern craft which we might leave behind for the next generation?
My craft, hat making. Sorry to sell it, but it doesn't only include making a hat. Is you're incorporating art, you're incorporating fashion, you're incorporating inventiveness, avant-garde. You're doing so much being a milliner, only because you can make a hat out of anything. So I say this. I say we're gonna get lots more milliners around.
Alva, thank you very much for your time and thank you for joining us. I wish you all the best. Maybe you will sell some more hats today.
All right then, thank you, and thanks for
You're welcome.
having me.